A zaraz trochę historii.
Hello, comrades. Welcome to Comrades, where we talk the Americans. I am Jesse Jackson, and joining me is my friend in all things Springsteen and the Americans, the lovely and talented Allie. Hi, Allie.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
I am good. Before we even get started, did Charlie teach the kids to drive, or did you?
Oh, Charlie. Oh, Charlie. I'm still like that type of mom. And like, I get in the car and we have, a Honda Pilot. So it's like an SUV, it was high up. And I still I break in my seat. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh. I'm still that parent. And my kids have been driving 2 years and 1 year respectively. And I'm no. But Philip was great. Okay, that's enough for today.
Yeah, and
She didn't even put your seatbelt on, fix your mirrors. That's enough.
yeah,
We're good.
what I can only imagine, we have seen Elizabeth's, you know,
Demeanor?
directness and demeanor and her focus. I would be scared to death of having
Oh my
Elizabeth
God.
teach me, you know?
Yes, I do know. I do
Yes.
know. She would be, forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about
Yeah.
it. That's the word for today, I think.
Yeah.
But Philip was great. But it was like, you know what? It's so funny because, talk about just everything that you and I, as born and raised Americans, like that was like any other family. It was any other
Yes.
family in the parking lot, no less. Like we
Yeah.
all, I don't know if you did, but here
Oh,
up in the Northeast, we definitely take them to a parking lot first on a Sunday or Saturday when it's,
yes.
one of those. And it was like any other family.
Yes. In fact, we'll go off on a little tangent. Um, we, there's a little, we did not want to be the type of family that bought their kid a car. That's
Oops.
okay. But we found out that the way car insurance works is the most expensive driver goes on the most expensive car, unless you have the same amount of drivers as you do cars, and then you can assign them. So even my insurance agent was saying if you buy a car that you don't need to have full coverage on, we can assign that to Chris. He'll be covered on the other two cars, but it will make it so for having a third car is almost free
Okay.
for insurance. So that was enough reason for us. So we bought like this Honda Accord that was, this was like an early 80s Honda Accord. This was like an 85, no, 95, 96. This was in the 80s. And no, 2000. Yeah, that's it. I'm getting my decades wrong because we're in the 80s. So he graduated high school in 2007. So it was like around 2005. And we had bought it. This was a car like in a 90s, late 90s car. It was in great shape. But it was a manual transmission. And Chris had not learned a transmission, and so we went to on Christmas Day because he got it for Christmas, and there's this huge empty parking lot, and I go there and I go, okay, you can't hit anything. There's nothing for you to hit. Just drive and
I see
just
where this
make
is
your
going already, Jess.
and and what happened is a police officer came. And Chris was like, "Oh my God, it's a cop." I said, "It's fine." And the police officer walked over, and Chris rolled down his window. Police officer said, "Get a car for Christmas?" "Yes, sir." "Never drove a Standard before?" "No, sir." Once you do, it'll be fine. You'll love that you can do it. Merry Christmas," and walked off. And by within 2 days, Chris had figured out the whole clutch and everything. But yeah, when he was first learning, you get that whole jerky motion. So, um, but Paige wants to drive the Camaro, doesn't she?
That was hilarious. I think this car's really big.
Yeah.
I think a smaller car would be good. And he just was like, you are not getting that Camaro. You are
Yeah.
not driving that Camaro.
Right.
Like any other family,
Yes.
you know?
It was exactly.
Exactly. And it's funny that you said that about the Honda Accord because we have, I live in New York City and, but I live in Queens. It's a little different than Manhattan people. That we have a Honda Accord. So we're in 2016. So it's probably like a 2002 or 2003 also that we call a station car. Now, a station car up here is for someone like myself that works downtown, as we call it, which you all know as Manhattan. Um, and I park my car, the Honda at the station all day, at the subway or at the railroad station.
Right.
And this way you don't want a good car because you're parking on busy streets or you're trying to cram into little spots, when everyone else is trying to get to the train. So
Yeah.
we have this. And so when my son got his permit back in 2014, that was the car my husband started to teach him with, especially here in, like, you've seen my block before, pictures or Skyping or whatever. I have a
Yes.
small block, and it's like the King of Queens, and there's no room, and there's it's typical New York City driving. So my Pilot was like too big for these kids right then. It was like, no, you're not going to be able to get around traffic or whatever. And the first time my husband came back with my son, and Charlie's fairly bald to begin with. You could see where his nails were going in his head. He was just gripping his head. He was like trying not to say anything, and you could see he was like serious. You could see the marks. He was like,
Yes.
just grinning, and he was like, I can't. So he had to take him. The next time he had to drive out to Long Island, where it's not as crowded, and teach him there for like the first few months till he allowed him to come back to New York City and drive, because people here are ruthless. So
Yes.
the day after, let's talk about the day
Yes.
after. Did it bring back flashbacks for you?
Yes, it did.
Holy crud.
I remember watching this. I remember the fear, of this, and um, you know, as always, this show does a great job of capturing that.
The moment.
Yeah, the moment
Oh,
and the feel, right?
yes. It was like anyone else, and how they went, they went from the Jennings living room, with Stan and his son there, and Henry eating popcorn so nonchalantly, at first, and we'll talk about Paige afterwards because her whole demeanor and Holly Taylor through that whole thing was amazing because you can imagine what she was thinking. But you go to the Residentora, you go to William's house, you go to they're showing Soon Yi, all of them, like it was when it aired. And Paige, though, when you were watching that, her face, Henry's just watching it kind of, like I said, just, innocently, but yet, he's still understanding the subject matter, and his son, what's his name? Son, I keep forgetting his name, but, Stan's son was watching it just kind of like this, but Paige, knowing what her parents do now, knowing Russia's, she's Russian. She's Russian, Paige, and
Right.
knowing all this, you see, her face through the episode, through it, and she was just scared. Oh, pardon me, scared out of her mind. Scared out of her mind.
And I think, as always, this show did a great job of tying in. William is talking about this biochemical, the latest biochemical, and he's like, I don't think we need to give this to anyone. No one needs this. I
Mhm.
don't trust us with it. Which is a very clean going. I don't trust anyone with a bomb. There is no
Right.
winner in a nuclear. There is no winner in a nuclear war. And this is going. And of course, Elizabeth, being Elizabeth, she is totally nope. This is what we need to do, and this is what we should do. Right?
Mhm.
Mm,
Yes.
yeah.
Yup.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It was just so really telling you how human these people are.
Exactly.
And so
Liquefy your organs. I just say
yes,
liquefy your
yeah,
organs. Oh,
yeah,
your blood comes out of your skin. I think that I'm trying to
yeah.
remember
I
exactly.
think that is how I said it. Yeah.
Oh my
Oh.
God.
Mm.
Oh,
Now, we finally, at least in my mind, and our listeners may have already connected, but we find out why
yeah. Where
Elizabeth
you going?
is been seeing young Heave, right?
Yeah, not for her, obviously.
Right. And you called that.
Uh-huh.
You did.
Ding, 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 ding. We need a
Yes.
bell. Ding, ding,
Exactly.
ding, 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 ding.
And
Yes.
Elizabeth, oh, I'll babysit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
And you
feel
know what gets me? Like,
yes.
as they pull away, they're like the three kids have run from the screen door.
Yeah.
Slams, Mary, stress wave. Sorry, that just
Yes.
happens.
Right.
I say screen door, it just happens. But the three kids run out and they're all, bye bye, and Elizabeth just it's like you see her face and she's just like, who wants pizza? And
Yes.
like you just say to yourself, because it's like, oh, it's like to me, I was like, God, she's so good. It's
Yes.
like so maniacal underneath it. You could see it, but she's so good. And now, ladies and gentlemen, has anyone noted? I have to discuss this because
Please.
I brought it to everybody's attention. Well, I brought it to your attention, and anybody that listens to our podcast. Have anyone else noticed the careful placement of everything, including those three children in front of Carrie Russell's belly?
I did not notice, but perfect.
Yes, and even when
Yes.
she came in the house with the grocery bag, the scene before when they found out that William had signaled, she has the grocery bag right there. She's sitting at the bathtub, after they watched the day after.
Right.
But the three kids placement was the best
It,
because they pan away from the parents driving away to the three kids at the screen door, slams Rosie's dress wave. Anyway,
yes.
and then they pan, they're already in front of Elizabeth, nicely placed in front of her belly.
Yeah, that was great. I did not notice it. I'll have to rewatch it and
I
see.
have to rewatch it because it's
Yes.
beautiful. It's
Um
so funny.
yeah,
But yes,
she stays up all night looking for like a
anything.
anything and she can find nothing.
No, he's so clean. He's too
Yes.
clean. He's too, you know, just plain, and he's too, just too clean.
And it is now he does have a little porn that he hides from
Yeah,
his
but even
right.
that's not anything much.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, and
How about using Major Tom, the song?
yes,
Oh,
very interesting.
right. That's kind of like when they used Under Pressure, and
Yes.
now they're using Major Tom.
Hmm.
Loved it.
Um, Oleg and Tatiana kind
Yeah,
of
well,
have a
we saw that coming. We just never
yes,
saw it.
yes, and
And I
really
have to
hot.
say, it kind of was a little. Um, he acted that really good if he was acting.
Yes, he did. Yes, and they had a really interesting discussion about
Right?
the do.
The light off the clouds,
Yes,
the sunbeams off the clouds.
yes,
It's very
and
interesting
it
because have you ever heard of a similar story involving was it Russia or was it I don't know, many years ago a story had come out from I think maybe it was one of the presidential libraries, or when one of something was released, after so many years it's released to the public.
Yeah.
Something similar to that. And I've been meaning to Google it, ever since that episode, and just I haven't. And I don't know if it's just an easy thing, but something like this did happen
Hmm.
in real life.
Yes.
Do you know about that? Do you
I
remember
do not,
this?
but I do think that.
Yeah. It's not totally,
I'll have to try to find that.
yeah, it's not totally fiction here,
No, no, I
people.
think it is not. It is
No.
very close.
Yes. You do know one of our, brilliant writers and creators is an ex-CIA operative.
Yes.
So
So,
people that don't know that, not that I think he's just screwing all this, confidential stuff, but like I always say, does
mhm,
art imitate life, or is life imitating art? Which is it?
not sure.
In this case,
Yeah.
come on.
Now, um, I was suspecting when Elizabeth goes, Philip is trying to get her out of having to um, take her friend and, manipulate her.
Well,
You could,
Philip is still reeling from the whole Martha thing. Remember, even William at the beginning was like, "You got her out. She's
yeah,
free. You're on a break. We get vacation. We get
yeah,
breaks."
I didn't know that.
But yes, I think Philip is still, like
Yes,
we said when we spoke about the last episode, the magic of David Cop, whatever, the
yeah.
David Cop, when, and that whole thing is, he's real. It's absolutely. And now we know this is 7 months later, as they told us in the episode, from when that, he's still really feeling this. He's hurting about it.
He totally is, and he's also feeling for Elizabeth. This is going to
Yes.
be really hard for her.
Yes.
But Elizabeth is
Elizabeth.
the true believer. She's going to focus. Um, she, I want to fulfill my duty, right? It's her mission, and she manipulates Don by, giving him a Mickey. And God, and how cool was it to see her struggling to undress him? Because most shows would just all of a sudden he's naked, but no,
Right.
they show how hard it is for he's a grown man and moving around, and she manipulates him a little bit while he's asleep. She goes and takes care of a little business, so at least
You mean
feels
lubricating his underwear?
yes. And
I'm sorry, between all gloves, you know,
yes,
and this whole episode, and I listen, me, I'm a very outspoken, very
yes,
this, but I'm a prude,
I
people.
understand. Yeah.
I'm a
Uh-huh.
prude. So I watched this and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Um, it's very scary, and I keep thinking she didn't sleep hardly that
Right.
night, so I'm a little worried about Elizabeth getting some sleep, but I guess she's there. She pretends to be asleep. He gets up and is so, sorry, gotta go.
Yep.
And we will see what happens on that on the next episode, because I know that's a big old problem going to happen.
Huge.
Yeah,
Huge.
because when Elizabeth gets home, she mentions, "I'm really gonna miss her." And
Right.
you've been very um, clear and very commit convinced that Elizabeth doesn't have many friends, and she actually likes Young.
Yes,
I
she
think
does.
this is someone she likes spending time with.
Very much so.
And this hurts her doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like a true friend. And it's very, you know, pun intended, it's very out of character.
Yes.
Very out of character.
Yes.
It's like, she's more human and more real in a way with this person than you've ever seen her with anyone, even to Philip to an extent.
Yeah.
In some ways, and she, I think she finally felt like, you know, like one of the gangs, so to speak, with this woman and the
Yeah.
family and everything. So
The
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. The other big thing going on is Paige is still being a good asset.
Agent,
Yes, she's like,
asset,
yes,
right?
agent, right. She's like, I think you guys need to come see the next church outing we have, like either the potluck or
Oh,
something.
well, you heard what she said though.
Yeah,
Pastor Tim likes to see us together.
yes,
That was like she was like reporting to her,
yes.
handler.
Hmm.
This is what needs to be done to make this, whatever. Just like Philip and Elizabeth report to Gabriel, or this.
Yes,
She was reporting that. You need to do this because this is what he likes to see, and this is going to help us in the future.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, and then, um, they're at the church dinner. Pastor Tim's telling Philip he's worried about Paige. And I think after I get back from my missionary trip, we should have a sit down.
Right.
And, Philip's like, you can just see his eyes. This is not good.
Yep.
Though they are getting plenty of business from the church. They're cutting them deals.
Yes.
So, we continue to move along. Just a lot going on. And we didn't even talk about uh, we've got a new boss there at the FBI,
Yes, we do.
and he's the Munchkin, which,
And he just
um,
doesn't like us late, and he doesn't like this, and he doesn't like
yes,
that.
yeah, they want someone they've replaced, Gad with someone who's very focused on procedures and everything. So,
Right.
uh,
He's not going to get, like we said in the last episode,
yeah,
he's not going to have a pen.
no, he's not going to have a pen. Right. Any other?
Even though that was the only thing they're allowed to bring. No pictures, no
Yes,
this, no that.
exactly. Um,
How about the disguises, okay? And even
okay.
William called it out. William called out Phillips like, this might be your best look yet.
That was so wonderful. And all I could think
You
is,
know that's a joke.
yes.
They did that on purpose.
And I just keep thinking, how much work do they have to do for each of those disguises? The fake beard or the wigs
They
and
have their wig department has a Twitter account.
oh, really?
Or the girl from it, something. Yeah, I'll link you to it. I'll post it on our Twitter
Oh,
account, which is
please.
@Comrades SMG.
Yeah.
Yes, because I saw it one day and I was like, absolutely, I have to follow this account.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find that.
I mean, come on, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
that's that.
Anything else besides that we need to cover?
I mean, look, we could sit here for hours, hours and discuss it. I mean, this episode, the day after, as any other episode, was just, it keeps you on it keeps you, it keeps you focused, it keeps you watching, they drag you in, and, you know, it was great. It marks the end of Philip and Elizabeth's break. It reminded me of Friends, we were on a break. We were on a break. When William, said that whole thing, and
Yeah, I didn't know we got vacations. That
I
was
didn't know. I
funny.
didn't know. But so I think the day after I think they did this purposely because like the day after, like here we go, and now we know people. We're 7 months. So Martha's been in Russia 7 months.
And we're
It's
so hoping we see her some more this season.
right. Gad's been gone 7 months.
Yes.
All these things. It's 7 months.
Right.
They brought us forward. Um, And that's that. By the way, because I was
Yes.
curious when we were talking, I did Google this whole thing,
Okay.
and I found out what it was
Oh, please share.
so basically, because of the time lapse, this 7 months actually, it misses technically based on where we know we are with the Americans, days and times. And remember, the the day after was November of '83. Is when the day after aired. So we know
Okay.
that that's where we are with, which makes sense because of when the Copperfield thing aired, So basically, it was when the USS and the USSR at the time, because it was September 1st. It was a Korean Airlines flight, and it was from Seoul to Anchorage. I'm reading now. It supposedly entered restricted airspace, and it was shot down by a Soviet jet fighter. Do you remember any of this?
I do not.
Yes. So the USSR, all of them, they initially apparently denied everything,
Mm-hmm.
while the Reagan White House called it an act of barbarism, um, born of a society which, disregards rights and the value of life. And that's when the Cold War grew even more. So apparently, from what I'm reading, and this is just a very quick looking into it, people,
Right.
apparently, this is kind of something that's not touched, but did bring up tensions and could be what they're referring to. I'm not sure, but it looks as though it may be. But it's something that we should all know anyway.
Okay, very good. Ratings. What's your ratings on this?
I give it an 8.5. Dirty bombs.
I think I'm gonna give it 8 driving lessons.
8 learner's permits.
Yes, exactly. Before we have you tell how we can find you, I did want to take a few moments. Coming up on Thursday, May 26th is Red Nose Day.
Yes, it is. I have mine.
I have mine too. It is rednoseday.org. There's going to be a live event, and the Southgate Media Group, many of us hosts, are going to be posting our picture with our little red noses. We are trying to raise some money. This is a day to have fun and make a difference for kids. They are raising money that will help
for
children.
Hunger. It's
yes.
It's for hunger, people.
Yes, and
no child should go hungry ever.
Absolutely. I may have filmed a video where I may have done a Springsteen tribute song. You'll have to wait and see.
I only
Yes.
saw the picture that you were trying.
Yes.
I didn't know that there was a video to go with this.
I did. I may have. You'll just have to see.
Oh, well, I might have to top you.
Yes. So anyway,
I might have to Periscope something.
Ooh, very cool. So please check it out. Allie, how can people find you?
Best way to find me is on Twitter. You can reach me at s4e9 New York Girl. Well, it's A Forever New York Girl, and that's at s4evanygirl. And Jesse?
I am at Jesse Jackson, DFW.
As to not be confused with the other one. I'm sorry.
That is exactly right. You can also catch Allie and I talking Bruce Springsteen often.
But you also catch us on Twitter at Comrades, SMG. You can also find us on Facebook at the Comrades Podcast. And you can reach us email at comradessmg@gmail.com.
Yes, we would love some feedback. We'd love you to share your thoughts so we can share them on the show.
Questions, audio clips of questions would be fabulous.
Oh, yes, we are.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be so much fun.
Love it.
So for now, we're going to say thanks for listening, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye, Jesse.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80s Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group. You can follow us on Facebook on the 80s Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80s Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s.